Hello and welcome to the brand new, first in its kind video episode of the Ecosysteming podcast. I'm your host, Thom Ruhe of NC Idea, and I'm very excited to share our new format, which is in studio, as you can see. And as you can also see, I am joined by my esteemed guest and colleague, Carlo D., Program Manager at NC Idea. Carlo, welcome to the inaugural, and thank you for being our guinea pig as we figure this out.
Man, I always wanted to be a guinea pig. I'm excited.
Well, we're learning, right? And learning and teaching is the part of your DNA. It's like to the essence of who you are. So why don't we start with some biographical information about you and how it is you come to join our merry band of misfits.
Yeah, so I'm originally from LA. If you're wondering if I'm wearing two pairs of pants today on this cold day, of course I am. I'm always cold, but it's worth it to be here in Durham. So I grew up in LA and got my education at Pomona College and was always drawn to education, always drawn to service-related things, and also always drawn to entrepreneurship. And so ended up going through a pretty transformative experience after school in Haiti. And that's where I really got to see how important it was to me that the work I do is mission driven. And it's also where I really got my first entree into entrepreneurship. So living and working in Haiti was a hugely transformative experience for me. I was with an international NGO, lived and worked on the grounds of a pediatric hospital in Port-au-Prince. So really intense experience, a lot of challenges there. But one of the real value adds that I was able to provide was the language. I had French already going, and then I was able to learn Haitian Creole. And Haitian Creole and teaching it became one of the things that was really valuable for the organization. So fast forward a little bit, when I was at home, I knew that I wanted to do something related to Haiti. I also knew that I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. And so I started a language learning company that I still own and run called IHEP, and we help people learn the Haitian Creole language. That was my full-time work for about 8 years and became stable, was able to hire, was able to grow it. And when things started to stabilize, it was sort of a question of, all right, how do I have more local impact? And as I was always drawn to education, I ended up teaching in Durham Public Schools at Jordan High School for 5 years, teaching entrepreneurship and marketing.
Let me interrupt you there. What what was it about being a public school teacher that was calling to you, like that gave you the confidence to go, okay, I'm going to make another like turn in my career and do something different? What was it like? Where did you just see something, observe something in the market where there was great need, or was it like a thing in your soul you wanted to fill?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of that. So I come from a family of educators, and so I don't think I was ever going to make it out of this life without giving classroom teaching a shot. But there's also this other quote that I really love, and it sort of is talking about your calling and sort of giving some guidance on your calling. And it says, this quote from a philosopher and theologian says, where you should look is where the world's deep hunger and your deep gladness intersect. And for me, that world's deep hunger and my deep contentedness a lot of the time happened in educational settings. And so I felt so compelled to contribute directly to Durham because I knew that we were going to be here in this area. This was going to be home. And the question of, well, why contribute all this energy to Haiti, to a foreign country, to a place that I am not of, to a place where I don't live long term, when there are these great needs also right here in our own backyard. And that intersection of need and my deep gladness coming in educational settings really pulled me into Durham Public Schools.
Very cool. I don't want to gloss over something you just threw out there. Oh, yeah, I went to Pomona College. Yeah, you went to Pomona College where you were also the varsity goalkeeper on the water polo team for 3 years. I mean, I was kidding with one of our colleagues earlier that there are like aquatic sports you can get into and things you can do in the swimming fields. And then there's like next level, and that's water polo.
Sure, I appreciate the, the flattery, and also that you know a little bit about the sport, especially here in North Carolina. There's not a huge water polo scene.
Yeah.
I miss that, but yeah, I love that. I love that component of being at a school like Pomona, where we were D3. We're not, you know,
Right.
Olympians, but we took it seriously playing our sports. You know that as a athlete, student athlete yourself. But we took it really seriously, and I have a really strong sage hen pride. That was our mascot, the sage hens. It's probably one of the silliest mascots around, but now I rep it. Go hens, chirp.
Yeah, the hens. Like I'm a graduate of a MAC, Mid-American Conference School, Bowling Green State University. Go Falcons!
Sure.
But yeah, I like the intense sports. That's why I wrestled. But I'm a bit older than you, so our wrestling program got defunded along the way because the dominant sport at Bowling Green State University, at least in the '80s when I was there, was hockey.
That
And as a
makes
matter of
sense.
fact, they won. It was, I think, my freshman year in '84. They won the NCAA hockey championship. So, yeah, I had a coach that kidded like, all you have to do is learn how to ice skate, and then you've got the fighting part down. Being a wrestler, you just gotta
Yeah.
learn how to ice skate. But let's bring it back to the present, or closer to the present. I think you started August of year before last, so this August will be 2 years if I'm not mistaken. How did you know? I remember like interviewing you and putting you going through the process when we put the position out there. But what like drew you to apply to the position? Like, here you were in Durham Public Schools, you're changing the hearts and minds of students, you're doing, incredible work uh, to serve humanity, frankly. I think that of every public school teacher on the planet. Why leave that? And like I said earlier, join our merry band of misfits.
I won't sugarcoat it. I was dying in the classroom. It
Yeah, I
is
was afraid of this answer.
it is the hardest work that I have ever tried to do. And I've done a lot of different things, nonprofits, for-profits, my own thing, entrepreneurship, and classroom teaching is by far the hardest job I have ever tried to do. And I just couldn't find the way to balance it. It's one of these jobs where you get punished for loving it. You get punished
Wow, that's a
for
powerful statement.
you do. There are many teachers that truly do feel I would do this for free. And I think that being their true feeling gets taken advantage of. And it's like, okay, great. If somebody's willing to do it for free, let's make them do it for very, very little. And let's give them pretty bad working conditions. And let's stack the odds in many ways, intentionally and unintentionally, against them. And so the colleagues that I have that are still in the classroom, I respect them so much. I try to support them in as many ways as possible. Because I do feel a little bit like I abandoned the cause.
Do they see you as the one that got away, the one that escaped the
well,
penal colonies, so to speak?
I can't say that they do, because the sad fact about it is that so I went through a teacher training program, a master's program at Duke, and many of the educators that went through that program with me are no longer in the classroom also. So it's hard to get
Really?
viewed as the one quitter, when there are a lot of folks that made it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years and then were not able to make teaching long-term sustainable for them and their families.
I can't help but think it's just a missed opportunity for society. It's like a lot of the people that are staying, they're still, yes, they're very, very dedicated, but there's also, if we're being candid, there's also a percentage that stay because they really don't have other options.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to cast aspersions on your former, career field, but we have to also acknowledge that like not every teacher is in line for sainthood. Because I know this, and this is how I'm very cleverly segueing into mindset programming.
Mm-hmm.
I know this because, when I was at the Kauffman Foundation, we were launching this curricular program called the Ice House Entrepreneurship Program. we did a lot of beta testing, and like we took it
Mm-hmm.
into a variety of environments, from high school environments, community colleges, I mean, postdoc fellowships,
Yeah.
law school, like every slice you could possibly imagine. And there was one experience in particular. We were at a large community college in Colorado, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a 2,000 student, test. So there were controls, people that were getting the standard curriculum, and then others that were going through Ice House.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were doing the post-mortem with the president of the college, and he was showing me the data, right? Like the majority of the classes that were using the Ice House program were significantly outperforming the control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, significantly. And he was elated, with the data. But there was like every fifth class, there was one that just dropped to be commensurate with the control and the baseline. And it was just enough that my pattern recognition lizard brain caught it.
Yeah.
And after like I saw the fifth dip, I was like, what is this anomaly? Right? Like, how do you explain that? And he just sighed and he shrugged and he was like, yeah, welcome to my world. And, union labor force, like
Mm-hmm.
those are my, I don't know if he's used it like a pejorative term, but he's like, those were the lesser star
Yeah.
among our
Yeah.
faculty,
No,
right?
I
These are
get
the
it.
ones that are, ate
Yeah.
and skate.
Yeah.
I'm off the clock. I'm off the
Yep.
clock.
Yep.
To me, again, not as a educator and having the discipline or the educational background that like you did, getting your master's at Duke. So to the uninitiated, it was just like glaring, like I was almost offended, right? Because I think about how the students in those classes that were in the dip category,
Yeah.
think how underserved they are.
Yeah.
And what luck of the draw is it
Yep.
if you just are unlucky enough to get to pull one of those teachers,
Yeah. Yep.
right? To me, the importance of education is so extreme. Nothing should be left to chance.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's terribly naive. And to any educators that are watching this online, send in your comments on how naive I am. I get it.
I totally agree with that. And I mean, I want to be clear too. No educational system is perfect. And I am a huge proponent of public schools. But it is true what you were saying. And I had a quote here that I wanted to pull up from something that I read during that Duke Master's program in teaching. And I think that this is such a guiding light for how to get our way towards an educational system that works for more people. It says this: we must focus less on how to rank and fire teachers and more on how to make day-to-day teaching an attractive, challenging job that intelligent, creative, and ambitious people will gravitate toward.
Amen.
So me, it's like,
amen.
Solved it. Solved it.
Not only is that applicable to that field, I love that definition so much. I would also suggest that our kind of political machinery and infrastructure have a similar ambition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I think, again, our communities will be better served in both capacities.
Yeah.
So let's talk, like I made reference to this thing, Ice House, this program. We call it mindset in the vernacular of NC IDEA, and you were leading that for us and evolving it, I should say. Give me just 2 seconds to be uncomfortable so I can brag about what you've done with it. We've made some good starts with it, but we've been struggling to find kind of a footing we have an ambition, and the ultimate ambition is to get 100,000 people through what we are calling entrepreneurial mindset programming. And it's really the one thing that we, as our organization's portfolio of grants and programs, it's the one thing we have to offer the public at large, right? Everything else, you got to be kind of on this committed path of entrepreneurship and the ambition to start and grow a high potential company. But this is something where, we look at an entrepreneurial mindset more as a life skill than a business skill, and that our state would be well served to have more people with this life skill. And you've taken it and you're sprinting with it. I was going to say running with it. You're actually sprinting with it, and you've come up with a really clever and helped us actually discover an underserved, under-resourced niche that we can leverage very, very well. So I'm saying all this to tee you up. So hopefully I can brag a little for you so that you can just focus on the mechanical stuff. But you definitely deserve a bow for this. But please talk about what you're doing with Mindset, and specifically the LEAF program, which I believe is that beautiful little logo on your uniform here.
Which only LEAF fellows and staff can acquire.
Oh, yeah.
This is not for sale.
You got to work for those. You don't get to wish for them.
That's right. Yeah, so Mindset, like you say, is the whole range of activities that NC IDEA has that's directed at the public. You don't have to be a founder. You don't have to be even a business owner. You don't have to think of yourself as an entrepreneur. This whole the suite of activities is really powered by the Ice House Entrepreneurship Program, like you mentioned. And so what that is essentially a story of a young entrepreneur in the segregated South who was learning from the most entrepreneurial person that he knew in his life, who was his Uncle Cleve. And it's called the Ice House because Uncle Cleve owns an actual ice house in the days when refrigeration is not widespread. And so as participants go through the Ice House program, they're sort of sitting alongside Clifton Talbert as he learns from his uncle 8 life lessons, the 8 secrets that entrepreneurs have in their brains, have in their actions that really empower them to be successful, whether or not they ever own a business. Like you said, entrepreneurship is really a mindset. And so this entrepreneurial mindset training is something that we are spreading throughout North Carolina. And 100,000 people, 100,000 North Carolinians is our goal for all of our mindset activities. And I was immediately struck by this goal when I encountered the Ice House, which was as a teacher.
Yeah.
I was still in the classroom at Jordan High School, go Falcons, and was looking for ways to have entrepreneurship come to life in my classroom, which was an Entrepreneurship 1 or Entrepreneurship 2, sometimes a marketing class. And I was looking for ways to have the concept really come to life. And when I came across the Ice House, not as an employee of NC IDEA, years away from landing in this role, I really saw something in it that really resonated with me and that I knew could resonate with students. Because these 8 life lessons are not, this is how to put together a balance sheet, this is how to get your business license. That is not inspiring to a teenager, nor to the average person, the average North Carolinian. These 8 life lessons are much more about how do you recognize opportunities that others overlook? How do you go from something that's just an idea in your brain to an actual thing that exists in the world? How do you build up networks? How do you understand the power of persistence? Those things are universally valuable, whether you ever own an LLC or not.
So thank you for mentioning I failed to say that in kind of leading up to your intro and bio that yeah, you were already engaged with a program of ours long before you joined us. Yeah. So I think that's just also another little fortuitous, layer of the wonderful cake that is Carlo D. Let me ask you based upon, and I want you to speak as an educator, as somebody that has been charged to mold young and impressionable minds, these 8 life skills, what is it from like an autonomy agency standpoint, right? And I am leading the witness a little bit, I'll confess to that, because there's, spoiler alert, we're living in pretty tribal times right now, right? And there are many forces trying to keep us apart and keep us angry at each other. And in order for that to be successful, you have to suspend critical thinking in people, right? That's the only explanation. That's the only way you get, because people that will engage in critical thinking and can still think for themselves and have that agency will go, okay, I'm not buying what you're selling. because what you're selling is just driving, discontentment and disharmony and animus for the other. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I suspect, let me come in from this angle. Most educators that I've talked to, and I've been now attached to Ice House for almost 15 years and have been around the world with it, right? And so it's a universal concept. It's not based upon a US ethos, but most educators have this connection that it really unlocked agency in their students and encourage critical thinking. What's your take on that?
Well, so much of what the Ice House is trying to do is to encourage lifelong self-directed learning. That's almost at the heart of what an entrepreneur
Do we even need to learn anymore? We've got AI now.
Yeah, you can just ask the AI, what do I not know that I should know?
Right.
No, hardly. I mean, these things become exponentially more important in the age of AI as we're going to see over the next couple of years. But to be the kind of person that is curious, wants to find answers to things, is willing to experiment and put themselves out there and do funky random things to gather the information, those are the people that are going to be successful as entrepreneurs and business owners, but those are also the only people that are going to be successful in life with anything, any career, any background, whatever your circumstances are. You need that. You need that piece of being a lifelong self-directed learner. So I think when in many different avenues, the Ice House is encouraging this, I think what you end up seeing are students who, and participants, adults who become activated and say, oh, let me be the kind of person that is dedicated to a lifelong self-directed practice of learning and improving myself.
Okay, well, so let's keep that going. And I made this reference to that beautiful logo on your chest, Leaf. So now, to the listener, Ice House has been deployed in public school systems. I alluded to all the applications in the past. But again, Carlo, you evolved another channel for us. And it really ties into ecosysteming, the theme. Nice plug there. I hope my producer appreciates the plug of the podcast, right? But it is, all kidding aside, it's yet another component of this bigger thing of ours to be part of, and engaging a channel that, like public education, provides great value to community, but is overlooked, taken for granted, underappreciated, oftentimes underfunded, under-resourced. So why don't you talk about LEAF specifically and how we're using mindset in this program called LEAF. And why don't you start with explaining what the acronym stands for?
Yeah, absolutely. So LEAF is the Libraries for Entrepreneurial Advancement Fellowship. And we got to start with public libraries. So if our goal at NC IDEA is to activate 100,000 North Carolinians to achieve their entrepreneurial potential, that is a big goal. And you have to start thinking, okay, if we're tackling such a huge goal, how can we spread the word? How can we become known? And public libraries are one of the few institutions in America that is working, that is widespread, that is embedded in their communities and trusted and liked. Nobody hates their public library. Who walks into a public library and gets mad at
that would be
the
some
librarians?
Next level curmudgeon if you had a beef with the public library, man.
And so we start there with public libraries. And I'm going to just be a little bit blunt about NC IDEA. I think it's great. You think it's great. But if our listeners think to themselves, all right, who in my family knows about NC IDEA or has heard about NC IDEA? I mean, very few, right? If those same listeners think, who in my family has a library card? That number is going to be much higher, right? So when we're thinking about how do we activate 100,000 North Carolinians to achieve their entrepreneurial potential, the libraries, because of its reach and trust and embeddedness, becomes a really interesting channel. And as you mentioned, one of the things about libraries is that they are very, very overlooked and a lot of the times under-resourced. So libraries already do a lot to support the small business owners and the entrepreneurs in their community. They could do even more if they had more resources, had somebody like NCIDEA vouch for the libraries and help shift perceptions away from, oh, the library is just where my kid does story time or where old people go. If NCIDEA can vouch for the libraries as a legitimate high impact player in entrepreneurial support and economic development, that could be a game changer. Can you imagine if you could walk into any public library in North Carolina and get really high impact help as an entrepreneur? What a game changer that would be. No state can claim that that is true, that any public library will provide that level and that impactful type of service. We could make that the reality in North Carolina, and that is what the LEAF program is trying to do. So LEAF gets cohorts of public librarians. We surround them with the support, the knowledge, the skills, and the network that they need to take their efforts with the entrepreneurs in their community to the next level. It's a really exciting time here growing this fellowship.
So how many cohorts have we trained of LEAF Fellows?
So we are currently on the 3rd fellowship now with the 4th fellowship application open.
I'm always confused. Did the first one that we guinea pigged on, are they 0 or are they number 1? Are they the first?
I call them the first. They are the pilot, but they are every bit as much members of the fellowship.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I would say they even have a little special status.
I do. They're the groundbreakers.
The most tolerant with us as we were figuring that out. And
yeah.
I got to tell you, I think I've been there at the kickoff for all of them so far, and I really enjoy that. You know, I don't mean to be paternalistic when I say this, but one of the things I really enjoy about it is you see their commitment. They're very similar, and I think that's why you as the Sherpa to that group, there's such kinship, because you see the same that you see with public school teachers, right? This notion of like, we are happy warriors doing what we love, but they're underappreciated, under-resourced for everything we already said. So here you come in, saying, hey, we see you.
Yeah.
Right? We see you.
Yes.
And if you're willing to join us on this crazy, venture, we hopefully can add to your job satisfaction and what you get back. And then start recasting libraries, right?
Yes.
As this resource that can do so much more. I have to confess something, we had a chance before we hired you to do this. We had a chance to lean into that notion because we had a very impressive seed company come through seemingly out of nowhere. Like, he wasn't a previous applicant. He was a rare first-time applicant and one first-time, very accomplished gentleman. And when we did the post-mortem with him, so, hey, how did you find us? He said, I walked into my library where I would normally go, to do business research. And, somewhere I got a cross-pollinated and a link to NCIDEA. That should have been the moment in our head where we go yeah, okay, let's focus on libraries. I'll say in our defense, we're all sprinting, 100 miles an hour around here.
Sure.
As an entrepreneurial serving organization probably would. But it seems like we've had a full circle moment, right? So if that was going to be a thesis, you have now kind of tested the thesis, and we've got, I think, encouraging early indicators and returns, so to speak. So let's kind of start landing the plane and give you the floor to talk about what's your long-term view for LEAF, and when will you sit back and go, yeah, wow, we've really done something here. What's that going to look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, that idea that I mentioned, that you could walk into any public library and say, hey, I got an idea. Is there somebody here that could help me bring that to life? And for there to be a librarian on staff in that building to step up and say, not only am I excited to do this, I'm equipped to do this. And to connect that entrepreneur to the resources that they need, to potential funders, to other supportive communities. Oh, that could be such a game changer for the entrepreneurial ecosystem throughout the state. I think we can get there. By the end of this fiscal year, we'll have about 60 librarians who have gone through this experience and are members of the LEAF Fellowship. And I don't even think you have to hit every librarian in North Carolina for this to start bearing fruit. I think at 60, at 100, I think you start to see some of the really, really exciting possibilities of doing this. So I'm really excited about continuing on with the upcoming cohorts. I'm really excited about building up the connections between the libraries and the economic development organizations in their communities. They're sort of asking, hey, can you be in on a meeting with our library and the Chamber of Commerce, or our library and the SBTDC? We just need a little help proving that we have value and that we can leverage all of the other strengths that ESOs do not have in service of this shared mission. And what an exciting thing to be able to do that.
You know, I love all of that, and I will I just add one like kind of cherry on the top of that sundae, and that is that someday, in the not too distant future, it's still going to take some time, and it probably would be during our annual summit, you know, where we bring the whole state together. Like, we'll be celebrating Ice House founders and entrepreneurs, and if you track their lineage, it'll go back to the day they walked into their public library, right? Somebody that flies under the radar of everybody in every organization. You know these people. We all know these people. They're in our neighborhoods. They're in our schools, our churches. They're everywhere. And they just go about their business, but they walked into a LEAF library. They got that special librarian who's been one of our early adopters, and I thank you all. You are very special. You're very brave. I'll say that much too. You're standouts. And I think, yeah, over time we're going to get to that flywheel effect. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember again these early days of Ice House when we were going into the larger schools. There was this kind of, FOMO is not the right word, but the faculty that volunteered, the first early adopters, they became kind of the cool kid clique, right? Like, yeah, well, they're having like a monthly happy hour that the other faculty are like, ooh, what's going on with them, right? Like, how do you get invited to that happy hour? How do I get one of those LEAF jackets?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, invest a little bit in yourself, right? And serve yourself in your career by serving others. And that's the essence, or a big part of the essence in this program. So I love everything you said. And like I said, we get to the point where we're celebrating these incredible founders that are starting and growing companies that are, you know, impacting the state. That's when we will know we accomplished something, or more accurately, you've accomplished something big.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I can't wait for that moment, because there are so many people who will never contact NC IDEA. They wouldn't walk into a SCORE meeting or their Chamber of Commerce. But those people do go to the library, right? And so you're going to reach so many more North Carolinians when an effort like this can scale. And I do have to also plug those librarians. That is probably the number one thing that made this a really interesting strategy for me as we were putting together some of these initial plans. Librarians are motivated, they're extremely intelligent, they're so helpful and nurturing, they're willing to try things. Just in terms of a talented pool of
decent human beings.
You can't beat it. So I was really like, let's go with the librarians. Let's go here.
Very cool. All right, well, I got to wrap this up, and staying with kind of just because we went to video now, we're still doing some of the standards, and one of the standards I'd like to close on is, you know, if I were to say to you, you know, if you had to guess how many mutual connections we have on LinkedIn, and to the future guests that do their homework, good on you if you kind of do the research to not be surprised by the question, but what would you guess?
Oh, man, 77.
be off by almost 200. You're off by about 190.
Geez.
So it's 265 and growing, not surprisingly.
That's embarrassing.
Why? No, I think it's just wonderful that we
far
have.
off. No, I mean my guess being so wrong.
I think it's great, but it just shows the connective tissue, and also is a reminder for everybody out there. You probably have connections to people that you don't even know. So, don't forget to leverage your professional networks, share content that you think, can provide value to others. And generally speaking, be a decent part of this thing of ours, right? It's enlightened self-interest to support this because it helps everybody. So with that, I want to thank you not only for being the first guest in the new format, but also for being a really valued member of our team, a colleague that I cherish. You bring such joy. I should mention, we didn't used to at staff meetings do a game at the end, because it's all business, right? And it's usually 2 hours every Monday morning, and we're all grinding away and prepping for, we do a quick recap of what the week previous was and more of a forecast on what's ahead. And it's kind of easy, like you can just walk out and go like, okay, let's get to it. But I think the school teacher in you started with like, I remember the first time you brought it up, you were like, hey.
Yeah, new guy, a little tentative.
How about we do a game? And you're feeling your way out.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm glad that y'all and the team were willing to jump into that.
It's bragging rights now, man.
Oh, it's so fun now. But if I learned anything in the classroom, it's relationships or you die. Relationships, relationships, relationships. And that's where that game impulse comes from. And I should say that I am so grateful for this opportunity to be on the team, because when I was dying in the classroom and saw the job posting go up for this program manager role, when you want something too much, you can feel it. You're like, I was just like, oh, give me that job. And I knew it was like an unhealthy level of wanting it. I was thrilled to be able to join the team, and it remains amazing.
I can relate. I've been accused many times of having an unbalanced, work professional life, but it's because I enjoy so much what I do. Yeah. So it doesn't bug me if I'm responding to emails on a Saturday morning. It's what I choose to do with the years I have left on this planet, and it's a real privilege to do this work, especially next to people like you and your other colleagues. And so, thank you for doing that. And I look forward to. I have a feeling, if not you again, I don't know. I want to be up against your good looks and accomplishments in the video format so much. But I think actually we should think about getting some librarians into the studio.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And let's, as the program continues to grow, we should think about what we, highlight there in the work that they do. And let me look into the camera and say to anybody watching, if you've got great ideas also for the pod, who, we can get in here, understanding that, this ecosysteming is truly, as we say, this thing of ours. You're part of it. So please feel free to send in your suggestions, nominate people that you think would have, a good thing to add to the fabric that we're putting together here. We'd welcome it. So on that, Carlo, thank you, and tune in next time.